friends. Today let us see about animal tissues. This is regarding class 9, chapter 6, tissues, part 2. Okay. So animal tissues can be broadly classified into the following types. Epithelial tissue, muscular tissue, connective tissue, nervous tissue. 4 types. Epithelial, muscular, connective, nervous. Under epithelial tissue we have squamous, columnar, cuboidal, glandular. Squamous, columnar, cuboidal, glandular. Under muscular tissue, 3 types: striated, non-striated, cardiac. Under connective tissue, blood, bone, ligaments, tendons, cartilage, areolar, adipose. Once again, blood, bone, ligaments, tendons, cartilage, areolar, adipose. And under nervous tissue, of course, we have several neurons. So these are the 4 types of animal tissues: epithelial tissue, muscular tissue, connective tissue, nervous tissue. So let us see one by one. Okay, let us see about epithelial tissues. Right. Epithelial tissue main function covering and protection. Epithelial tissue forms covering of most of the internal organs like lungs, uh, the inner lining of intestine, blood vessels, okay, several layers of skin. So like that, it forms the covering of many organs and it gives protection. It is a protective layer. So let us see the various types. Squamous, layer of thin flat cells. They are thin flat cells. See, present in the lining of blood vessels, lungs, mouth, esophagus, etc. So it forms a lining of blood vessels, mouth, esophagus, all these things. Several layers in skin. We have several layers of epithelial tissue. That's what the skin is meant for: protection, covering. So that is made up of epithelial tissues. Columnar, columnar as columns. Okay, they are tall pillar-like cells present in the walls of the intestine. Seen in the walls of the intestine. Also in the respiratory tract, we have the trachea, bronchial, no? The respiratory tract, they have minute hair-like structures called cilia. Okay, can also be called as ciliated epithelium. Similarly, the previous one can also be called as striated squamous epithelium. Okay, we'll see the another 2 tissues. Continue cuboidal. Next one is cuboidal. So we saw about squamous and columnar. Okay, now the third one is cuboidal. Cone-shaped cells. It has a basement membrane. Forms inner lining of kidney, tubules, and duct of salivary glands. Okay, we have salivary glands. That salivary gland and all is made up of cuboidal epithelial tissue. They are cone-shaped cells or tube-shaped cells. They have a basement membrane. Okay, almost all epithelial tissue will have a basement membrane. Forms inner lining of the kidney, tubules, and also the ducts of salivary glands. Another thing, it also gives protection, mechanical support, protection to the respiratory organs. Glandular tissue. They have a lot of inward foldings. Okay, inward foldings and becomes a gland. A gland means it has to secrete something. Okay, like salivary gland secretes saliva. Likewise, the sweat glands in our skin will secrete sweat. Secrete means to release some substance. So they are called glandular tissue. Okay, glandular tissue. They have a lot of inward foldings and become a multicellular gland. When they become a gland, they have to secrete some substance. Secrete means release. Okay, so that is about glandular tissue. Next, we'll see about muscular tissue. So next, we'll see about connective tissues. Under that, blood. Okay, so blood is a fluid matrix containing plasma, blood plasma. And this is the only fluid tissue. Okay, blood is the only fluid tissue. Contains a fluid matrix called blood plasma. In that blood plasma, we have RBC, WBC, and platelets. You know that. What is the function of blood? transport gases. You all know blood carries oxygen and removes CO2. Okay, transport gases, digested food, hormones, waste materials, etc. So that is a function of blood. It is a fluid matrix made up of blood plasma. Blood plasma contains RBC, WBC, platelets. What are the functions? Exchange of gases, uh, carrying digested food materials, hormones, and waste materials, etc. Bone. Bone is also a kind of connective tissue. It is the hardest substance, right? Very hard and strong. For hard and strong bones, we need calcium and phosphorus compounds. So, bone is made up of calcium and phosphorus compounds. They are very hard and strong. They form the framework of the body. Okay, so when you see the skeletal system, you know it is the framework of the body. Okay, they give support to the body, framework and support. Next, we have ligaments and tendons. See, ligaments and tendons are tissues. Ligaments are flexible tissues. They join bones together, bones to bones. Okay, bones to bones. Ligaments join bones to bones. They help in movements of our limbs, hands and legs. Tendons, they are very, very fibrous in nature. They join muscles to bones. Okay, and also help in repair repairing of the tissues. If tissues are torn or any such thing happens, they help to overcome that. They repair the tissues. Okay, tendons, they are fibrous in nature, join muscles to bones, help in repairing the tissues. Okay. Next comes areolar and adipose tissue. Areolar tissue fills the space between skin and muscles. Between the skin and muscles, that gap is filled by the areolar tissue. Okay, fills the space between skin and muscles. Not only that, inside the organs, around the blood vessels, and the function is to help repair the tissues. All the worn out, torn out tissues will be reformed again. Okay, for repairing work, it is useful. Fills the space between skin and muscles. The space between skin and muscles inside the organs, around the blood vessels. Their function is to help repairing the tissues. Then adipose tissue found below the skin, the next to the skin. Okay, in our body, the layer next to the skin is adipose tissue. Also, it is seen between the internal organs. And adipose tissue contain fat and they store fat, helps to store fat, and they act as an insulator. In our body, they act as an insulator because it stores fat. Okay, adipose tissues seen under our skin. Beneath the skin, it is present. It stores fat. Okay, it acts as insulator. Also seen between some of the internal organs, right? So let us see about muscular tissues. Okay, under muscular tissue we have three types. Okay, striated, unstriated, cardiac. Striated, unstriated, cardiac. Three types of muscular tissue. Let us see one by one. Striated muscles. They are voluntary muscles. Voluntary muscles. They have light and dark striations. Striations means lines which appear light and in some places dark. Okay, and how they appear? They are long. Okay, the muscular tissue is long, cylindrical in shape, cylindrical, and multinucleated, has many nucleus. Multinucleated, multi means many, many nucleus. Long, cylindrical, and multinucleated. Also called skeletal muscles because they are attached with the bones. Okay, and help in all sort of voluntary actions. They are attached to the bones, so they are called skeletal muscles. Voluntary, have light and dark striations. Striations means lines. Long. Okay. Size is long. Shape is cylindrical. About nucleus, many. Also called skeletal muscles because they are attached with bones. Unstriated. Second one, unstriated. Also called smooth muscles. They are involuntary. Their action is involuntary. No striations. There are no lines. So that only it's a smooth smooth in appearance. Here also they are long, but the shape is spindle shape, not cylindrical, spindle shape. Okay, narrow at the edge and broad in the middle. Uninucleate has only one nucleus, uninucleate. So where it is in alimentary canal, that is digestive system. Alimentary canal means digestive system. In blood vessels, bronchi of the lungs. The windpipe will divide into two tubes. They are called bronchi. Bronchi of the lungs. Then iris of the eye. In our eyes, we have the iris, which expand as per the light intensity. Okay, that iris also is made up of unstriated muscle. Okay, unstriated muscle, also called smooth muscle. They are involuntary muscles. No striations, long, spindle shaped, uninucleate, present in alimentary canal, blood vessels, bronchi of the lungs, iris of the eye, etc. Cardiac. You know very well our heart is made up of cardiac muscles. These cardiac muscles help in contraction and expansion of the heart. They have faint striations. That means they have striations, lines, but they are very dull looking, faint. See the size, long, shape, cylindrical. Of course, these are branched. Okay, the muscle tissues are branched. Multinucleate has many nucleus and seen in the heart. As I told you, our heart is made up of cardiac muscles. They help in contraction and relaxation of the heart. So that's about muscular tissue. So next we'll see nervous tissue. Nervous tissue is also called neuron. The basic unit of nervous system is called neuron. So let us see about the nervous tissue. Helps to carry messages from one part of the body to the other. It's called response to stimuli. Okay, whenever supposing if you touch a hot object, immediately you pull out your hand. That and all takes place due to this kind of nervous tissue. The response to the stimuli. Stimuli is any environmental factor, external factor. Okay, the way you act, that is the response. Stimuli is external environmental factor. So that's what, when you touch a hot object, immediately the message, actually you call the message as impulse. In technical terms, you call it as impulse. So the nerves carry the impulse messages to the spinal cord or brain, and thereby we act, we respond to the stimuli. Where these cells are formed? In brain, in spinal cord, and in the nerves. Okay, the brain is made up of nervous tissues, in the spinal cord, and all the nerves present in our body. The two nerves join, that point is called synapse, the junction of two neurons. Like there is a diagram of neuron. This end portion will join with the head portion of another neuron. That junction is called synapse. The end portion of this neuron, that is the tail portion, joins with the head portion of another neuron. That junction is called synapse. Here is a diagram, the neuron diagram of the nervous tissue. Here you can see a head region that is having a cytoplasm and the nucleus together called cyton, and you have several branches called dendrites. Then have a neck, okay, long filament like structure running throughout, that is called axon. That axon will end up in terminal region, that's called axon terminale. The axon is continuous. This neck portion is supposed to be the axon, and you have several cells. These cells are called Schwann cells, and they are covered by a sheath called myelin sheath. These the sheath are called covering are called myelin sheath. So at the end of a cell, there is a gap that is called node of Ranvier. Okay, found by scientist Ranvier, that's called node of Ranvier. Again, these cells are also found by Schwann, the person who proposed cell theory. So they are named as Schwann cells. Okay, the cells are covered by myelin sheath, Schwann cells, node of Ranvier. The gap between the two cells is called the node of Ranvier. That is the axon terminal. This is how a neuron structure will look like. So in this lesson, we saw about the various types of animal tissues, epithelial tissue under that four types, then muscular tissue, then connective tissue, and finally the nervous tissue. Hope you enjoyed viewing. Thanks. Kindly like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much.